Former President Donald Trump will likely be indicted over his handling of classified documents when he left the White House. The Department of Justice has alerted the Trump defense team that they're prepared to ask a grand jury to indict for obstruction and violation of the Espionage Act. We've also learned that Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, has been granted limited immunity for his testimony. On Truth Social, Trump says he has done nothing wrong. Here to talk about this is Democratic analyst Ed Espinoza and Matt Mackowiak, chair of the Travis County Republican Party. Ed, this is not the Manhattan DA going after Trump, it's the Department of Justice. What's the seriousness of these possible indictments?
Well, it's quite serious. The issue at hand right now has to do with handling of classified documents that Trump took with him when he left office. It seems that he knowingly took them with him, but more importantly, he resisted handing them back over to authorities when they asked for them, and they had to spend about 1.5 years trying to get them back. That was a problem. You've heard lots of reports of him waving these classified documents around in front of other people. But also layered into this, Mike, is the fact that this is the second indictment after the second impeachment, after a jury has found former President Trump guilty of sexual abuse. The layers of complaints and allegations here have now turned into convictions, and these are real problems for Donald Trump. It's not a good day for him, and it's going to be really hard for him to say it's targeted when it's happening from so many sides.
Matt Mackowiak, Trump is asking Republicans in Congress to step in and stop this. He says it is all political. What's your take on that?
Yeah, there's no way for Congress to stop it. It's an entirely different, system on an entirely different track. Look, I think there's two issues. The first is the Espionage Act. The second is obstruction. I'm not going to defend any efforts to obstruct justice. If they were not fully accounting for the classified documents they had in possession, if they lied about what they had, if they held some back, that to me, I think is a cut and dry black and white issue. And of course, we have to understand what his defense is, what his lawyers are saying. Apparently, he was in front of the special counsel, Jack Smith, at the Justice Department with his legal team. I guess he wasn't, but his lawyers were just a few days ago. The Espionage Act, to me, is a better question. That was created before we even had a classified document classification system in place. It's an old law. And to me, the question is, if Trump's being charged with violations of the Espionage Act for possessing sensitive and classified national security material, why is that not being also applied to other people, whether that be former Vice President Mike Pence, who admitted he had similar material, whether that be Joe Biden, I think from when he was in the Senate, perhaps also when he was vice president. There's a list of people who've also possessed classified information inappropriately. So what's also interesting here is the venue. We learned just in the last few days that they also have impaneled a grand jury in South Florida. That may have something to do with the deadlines and running out of time in D.C. It also may have to do with the so-called crimes being committed in Florida, not in D.C.
Okay. Ed, how significant is it that his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, has reportedly been offered limited immunity?
It's very significant, right? I mean, this is the former chief of staff, one of the highest ranking people at the White House. And for those who don't know what a chief of staff does, you're basically the gatekeeper to the president. You're involved in all of the decision making, most of the major policy and political decision making that happens there. I will say one important factor that's different between Trump and other officials who have had classified documents is that those other officials have cooperated with authorities and handed over the documents. Two things Trump was reportedly not doing. So I think what you're seeing here with all of the other charges and convictions against Trump is you're seeing a pattern of behavior that really outranks Watergate at this point. Remember, Nixon had one issue. Trump now has a laundry list of them. So this pattern of behavior is not a good look for a former president. Okay. It's definitely not a good position for someone running for president. I guess you could say he's a bad hombre.
Okay, you could say that. We got to wrap it up for now. Matt, Ed, thank you both very much.
Thanks.